of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am.
What up, film fans? Happy Tippy Top Tuesday. Welcome to a brand new episode. Welcome to episode 343. Welcome to Companion. You're listening to a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan. I am joined by the other fella, Jay.
Hey, how's it going out there, guys? A podcast land?
Man, what a week, man. It's been a busy week. What about you?
Oh, not too bad. I was kind of sick a couple days, but still have a little chest congestion. But other than that, not doing too bad.
We're here. We are ready and excited to talk movies with you guys again. Whether you're watching us live on Facebook or Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, you can catch us every Tuesday, Tippy Top Tuesday, whether you're going to work, coming home from work, wherever you listen to us at. Thank you. It's always a pleasure that you let us hang out with you and talk movies. So last week, if you did not join us, we had a fun conversation about The Wrestler, the ins and the outs of the independent wrestling business. Mickey Rourke, Marissa Tomei. Very fun episode last week. 342 was the episode. So go back and listen to wherever you listen to podcasts at. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, wherever you listen to Amazon Music. You can even find us on Apple Podcasts by way of the PFPN, the Prescribed Films Network. We're there along with a bunch of other great podcasts, so go check them out. Or you can hit up the social medias and you can find our pages that way. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The X, formerly known as Twitter, is at Cinnamon405. Or you can send us an email, an old-fashioned email. Cinnamon921@gmail.com. I prefer getting emails. I don't know about you, but compared to X and Twitter, and sometimes those notifications are just iffy. But if you want to get through the show, fastest, most easiest way, hit up those that email. So, Jay, it has been a minute. We didn't talk recent watches last week. We're going to skip it again next week. What are some of the things you might have been hanging out and seeing, and anything you want to recommend to anybody?
Last time we talked, I watched some. I've been going through some James Bond. I'm on the third film, halfway through it. Goldfinger, not too bad so far. The first two films have been pretty decent. There are some things that aged the movies quite a bit as far as terms of James Bond smacking chick in our ass and just kind of telling her to go on her way, man talk. I'm like, okay, so yeah, that was cool. And then I got stuck on The Conners. It's the sequel series to the Roseanne Show, and I got about 2 or 3 seasons in the last time, but things happened, and then so since they're getting ready to release the last, I think, 6 episodes for their, and it's going to be the series finale, so I'm going to catch up on that, then hopefully catch up on the last 6 episodes of that before it's all said and done. But besides watching Companion, I haven't really watched anything else because I usually don't tend to like Facebook Reels and all that stuff like that. Just I don't know. But the past week or so, I've just been kind of stuck on my phone just watching Reels as well. So
It's a dangerous business, those Facebook Reels. They can get you. I've kind of been the opposite. The week before, I really didn't have a lot. This week, I kind of, buckled down, stayed up late, fought through sleep, and watched some stuff. I finished my James Bond series set today with No Time to Die. For the longest time, I thought Skyfall was the best out of the entire series. I think I'm actually willing to change that to No Time to Die. I know it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, but man, it just does a very good job of tying things together. It does things that a James Bond movie just usually doesn't do. and it felt fresh. So I think No Time to Die for me is probably the best out of the entire 24 film franchise.
Hmm.
So I finished that up today. I went through a Den of Thieves and watched one and two. I forgot how really, really good Den of Thieves one is. If you like heist movies, highly recommend those two. Uh, Den of Thieves 2, I believe, is on Netflix if you guys want easy access to that. Um, it was supposed to be a watch just for Val Kilmer because I rewatched Batman Forever this week, but I ended up watching that right after I checked out Baby Girl, and those are two Nicole Kidman movies back to back. So
I seen your star rating on Baby Girl. So I just is there
it's
is it at least all right?
it's all right. It's two. I gave it a 2.5. Anything below 3, I don't know if I'll ever pick up and watch again. Um, if you want to watch it and try for anything, I would say the uh what is it? The performance of Antonio Banderas is really good. He gives out a lot of emotion in that movie. But Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson, they kind of were just there. It felt like a rehashing of what's the seduction movie with Richard Gere and uh I can't remember her name. The one who played the mom in Liar Liar.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. She was in the Iron Claw and everything.
No, that might not even have been her. But I'll try to find it real quick. Um I mean, it was one of those subduction kind of. It was trying to be like, s- you know, uh, how can I put it? It was trying to be like risque, but it wasn't really what it was probably lined up to be. I know I usually give A24 movies like a really good rating, but this one just did not stick on to me. Unfaithful. Have you seen that movie?
That's you're thinking of Diane Lane.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, so it kind of felt like that. Um, yeah. So
Now does I know there was a big deal made about it back when she did Eyes Wide Shut that that she was nude in it. Is she at least nude in this one? At least portraying the she's like a nympho or sexual awakening.
no, it's not really like that.
That's
She
the way the trailer sells it. Like she's like coming into her own as an older woman with a younger man. It's just like sex all through the trailer. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that happens, but this movie is more. It, it it's like that, but it's giving you two different stories, and then at the end of the day, it's like, well, her husband was okay with her living out her fantasy, and now they're just back to normal. So I don't know. It's one of those ones that you probably just have to watch, and the story is simple, but I don't think it needed to be uh, talked out the way it was for sure. Um, the trailers and the reviews just make it seem to be like it was just a 50 Shades of Grey kind of movie.
See, that's what I was. That's why I asked if there's a lot of nudity or anything in it, because the trailer sells it as like, there's just sex throughout the entire damn movie.
No, it's not like that at all. The trailer does sell it like that, and there are some, uncomfortable scenes, and then it even starts out with one of those scenes, but it's not like every other scene, like maybe Unfaithful or the 51st Dates movies would put out. But the way you talked, Honora is way more risque than this one.
Oh yeah, Nora's full of nudity and sex.
But a lot of people were, kind of harsh on Nicole Kidman not getting any kind of Oscar nobs, and I don't think she needed because she had played a character like this before. She was way more advanced, if I can put it that way, in Eyes Wide Shut than she was in Baby Girl. So, and then I checked out Mufasa. I really enjoyed Mufasa a lot. It was a breath of fresh air. The songs were good. There was not like an overlap of songs in this movie. The CGI was phenomenal. It looked beautiful. My only problem is I don't think it needed to be almost a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say this like 2 hours and 20 minutes or so.
Yes, some of those movies I'm like, man, does it need to be that long? It's only an hour and 58, but um, I think a nice hashing down of like 135 would probably do better, but it does tell the backstory. It's also kind of like a Lion King 1.5 because Timon and Pumbaa sit down with the son of Simba, and Rafiki tells like the story. So it's good in that sense. Not nearly as bad as some people are out there putting out to be. So, did I talk about Snow White last week?
No, we didn't have a recent watches last week, so I was going to ask you. I was like, didn't you see Novocaine and Snow White?
We did, yeah, that's right. Because that's the only thing I saw in between the past episodes. In between, the Substance and the Wrestler. So I did check out Novocaine. Novocaine was phenomenal. I think I'd give it a I think I said a 4,
You
3.5. Yeah, a 4. So Novocaine was really good. We're going to talk about Jack Quaid a little bit more here in a bit. And then Snow White, man, people are completely trashing Snow White, like giving it a 0.5 on Letterboxd, a 1 on IMDb. It's bad, but it's not that bad. I mean, it is filled with songs. Don't get me wrong. The entire 2 hours, almost every other chapter is a song. And then the main Wellwater song is not in there. So it looks very good. It's shot beautifully. Gal Gadot as the Queen is phenomenal. I can see where they probably messed up with that one because she outshines, outlooks, and outacts everybody in the whole movie. Um, is it Rachel Zegler? She's not bad, but if you're gonna do a Snow White and you want to kind of give her her own style, I would have let her have long hair.
Well, a lot of people, whenever they've seen the first pictures of her as Snow White, they're like, "Holy hell!" They cast for Bakwa. And it's like, yeah, that was kind of hard to unsee after And the costume does look, and a lot of people complain that I've seen cosplay costumes look better than what they had in the movie. I'm like, I haven't seen it myself, but seeing the trailers and other scenes, yeah, I could agree.
It does look rough, but my only backup towards that is that it's something that because she's treated like a peasant almost as in the second half of after her parents die and the Queen takes over. So I think they want it to look something like she had kind of maybe made or stitched herself. So I can see why that looks like that maybe. But if you're going that far, I think it's kind of just nitpicking. And I think so many people were just obsessed with the older Snow White tale and that story and the nostalgia of the animation of that 40s movie, 50s movie.
37.
Close enough. So I think people just don't like change. There's 3 things you don't mess with, and that's, The Wizard of Oz, The Godfather, and Disney classic movies. And every time there's a remake of them, people just completely lose their breakfast over it. So
where they lost a lot of people was in 2 ways on this movie. One, they cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White. Everybody's like, even numerous different races were like, "What the hell is this? It's Snow White. It's in her name."
Yeah,
and then Rachel Zegler opened her mouth, and everybody's like, "Oh, nope, not seeing it now."
But why is that though? Because she's a good actress and she sings really good. She's one of the best parts of the new West Side Story that came out a few years ago.
That's understandable, but there's even people right now complaining that the girl from Lilo and Stitch, she's not completely Hawaiian or she's not thick enough. It's like, really? Like the people are going to find stuff to complain about, but I can agree with a little bit about. When she did open her mouth, that did kill a lot of this appeal for this movie.
Like in a good way or a bad way?
A bad way. She sat there and basically said that the original movie was weird and she didn't really like it. She just.
Well, I mean,
you don't sit there and talk shit on a movie that you're trying to to make money off of.
That's true, but I mean, she's being faithful, and at least she 1930s movies just aren't for everybody. I gave Snow White 2025. I gave it a 2. I know a lot of people are bashing it, but I thought the dwarfs were some of the most hilarious parts of the movie. I know people also complain that they weren't real humans, which they were. They were just not CGI'd, but they were motion capture, I think.
Yeah.
So they looked really good. Um, so I applaud that at least. Go out and check it out, see it for yourself. You know, it's still in theaters. Um, so the real
They
one to
have.
talk, the real big thing to talk about soon, and it's number one at the box office right now is Minecraft.
Yeah, I've heard 50-50 on that one.
Yeah. So, but
My
those,
daughter and nephews, big fans. I've sat there and watched it play it. As far as I know, there's really no story. It's just building and mining shit.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how they build this up to a movie. But those are my recent watches and recommendations. If I had to go check out Novocaine, I think I think it had its last run in the theaters the week I saw it. That's why I really wanted to go see it. Mickey 17 a few weeks ago. And then you know what? Go check out The Den of Thieves. It's on Netflix, so go check it out. And of course, I checked out what we're watching today and what we're talking about today, which was Companion. So, a fun week. Lots of movies to talk about. We're getting ready, Jay, to where it's gonna be just all gas the moment summer hits. We're about a month and a half away from Memorial Day weekend, and those movies are just gonna start piling up. So
Did you see the new teaser trailer they released for the Superman movie?
I have not yet.
It's about a 5 or 6 minute piece, and it's not. I think it looks pretty cool.
Is it the first 5 minutes of the movie?
I don't know if it's the first 5 minutes, but it's all right. You remember the original trailer where he lands and he collapses inside in the oh shit in the snow and he whistles for Crypto. Well, it's
Yes.
basically that entire scene from him whistling, Crypto showing up, and then Crypto taking him back to the Fortress of Solitude, and then it's a full 5 minutes of the movie.
Interesting. But yeah, if you guys want to check out anything we've watched, or if you guys want to recommend anything to us, hit us up on the social media pages. Again, that's facebook.com/the Cinnamon Movie Podcast, or just send us an email, CINEMEN at cinnamon921 at gmail.com. And we'll watch anything you guys want to recommend. So today we are talking all about Companion, starring Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid, Lucas Cage, Morgan Surrey, Harvey Gilligan, directed and written by Drew Hancock. Currently on IMDb, it has a 7 out of 10, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 70% Metascore, 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. With a $10 million budget, it made $37 million at the box office. A weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is not what they seem. So, if you guys have not seen Companion, pause now. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. You can rent it on Prime Video for $5.99. Jay, we'll start with you, man. This was one of your recommendations turned into an episode. So, what was it like watching it for the first time? And then what did you think about it in a few short words to revisit?
All right, you sat there and said if you haven't seen it yet, people really do need, before we continue on, need to, if they haven't watched this yet, please go watch it because went into it seeing no trailers. I didn't even know who in the hell was in it. I didn't want to know nothing about it. I just knew it was Companion. With the description you gave, perfectly good description, because if you give any more away than that, then you kind of ruin the movie for people. And so now's your time to leave, people, if you don't want to hear anything spoiler. But my first time through, like I said, I had seen no trailers, no nothing. I went in completely blind. And whenever he sat there and said that well, it really wasn't the first time, but the first time he said it while she was awake, he said, Iris, go to sleep. And her eyes turned wide. I was like, okay. So I enjoyed it the first time. I enjoyed it the second time. And I just picked up more things on the second time that play, different lines play doubly and triply at a different meaning, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I was kind of the same. You had mentioned it. You had told me about it. So I went and checked it out whenever it became available for purchase. And the first thing I see when you see the trailer, or no trailer, but the poster, is her eyes like that. So I automatically assumed she was like a vampire. That's the first thing that came to my mind. So I was like, okay, but I also automatically thought she was the bad, you know, the bad guy. Um, that wasn't really the case. The more you get into it, um, my first few sentences I'll say after I watched it was I was amazed, and then afterwards I was kind of like, same thing. I really had no issues with this movie. Um, but yeah,
I had no
let's.
issues with it at all. Sophie Thatcher is gorgeous in this movie. Now I will say this: when I first seen her start talking, and I seen her, I don't. Okay, I'll get this out of the way right now. Her lips kind of threw me off. I don't know. I know that seems like a small nitpick or something like that, but her lips, like there's one side of her lip that it's just weird. It threw me off a little bit. I know that the plot and everything is great, but I had one little nitpick about her lip.
No, I think it's a good runtime too. It's an hour and 37 minutes, an hour and 30 after credits. You're in, you're out. The cast is just a few select few in the movie. The story is not Yeah, the story is not something that you have to overthink. There's shock value to the middle to the end. The bloody scenes are bloody. Um, some people, I think this as a horror movie is underrated because it doesn't really straight come off maybe as a horror movie, but it could be like a dark comedy also.
Well, I thought it was kind of a dark comedy in a weird way, just because uh, some of the performances are very over the top.
They're also, I feel like they're also like undervalued.
Oh yeah, the Sophie Thatcher's character, she's absolutely gorgeous in this movie. She comes across as that girl next door type of quality, and it is a different take on the story of AI. We've always told the stories of how AI is dangerous. AI is going to take us out, but in this way, it was man that did it. Man was the villain. AI was the one we were supposed to feel sympathetic for, and it was a complete shift of the normal stories we used to get with AI and everything like that.
So let's kind of walk everybody through. You meet, Iris, you meet Josh, and you kind of at first, I kind of got blown away when the watching it the second time. I'm like, man, they've really gave away kind of the ending in the first five minutes, but you really have to pay attention and like, wait a minute, because she says she felt this kind of way when she met Josh and then when she killed him, and I'm like, wait a minute, what does that mean? Um, but come to find out, long story short, she's the one who's like the innocent one really in this whole thing. Um, Josh meets this companion. I guess he buys her, right?
He rents her.
Yeah, he rents. And
Just
like,
imagine, I was sitting there thinking that after I seen it the first time. It was like I rented it. I was like, oh, just imagine getting a used doll. Oh, gross.
and it's like, so they're going to this remote vacation spot, and like, so Josh and Iris, and watching it the second time around, even Kat, the way she talks to Iris on the couch when it's just them two, she's even like, you just make me feel so replaceable. And I'm like, the first time I didn't catch it, but the second time you're like, she knows what she is.
Uh-huh.
Everybody
And
knows
when
what
you're sitting
she
there
is.
watching it the first time, when you're sitting there thinking replaceable, what relationship did Josh and this girl have before he met Iris?
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
not the case at all.
Mm-mm.
Homegirl's replaceable because Josh went out and rented him a girlfriend basically.
Yeah.
And it was, and it did make me think of their companions, and it did not dawn on me that there'd be a guy companion too until that you find out another guest at the party is a robot as well.
So the moment, Iris, and there's small subtle things in this movie that if you watch the first or even maybe the second time, you might be good enough to where you're like, oh, I caught that the first time. Where he asked her the weather, or after maybe they have sex, he's like, Iris, go to sleep. But you don't catch that. You're just like, oh, he's kind of rude, just telling her to go straight to sleep after that. But when they wake up in the morning, he's like, Iris, what's the weather? and she pauses, and I did notice it the first time. I'm like, oh, but she's just playing around with him, sounding like a weather radio.
Yeah, I thought that was that's just one of those little. It seems like a little throwaway line of the first time through,
Yeah.
but the second time through, you're like, oh shit, he just accessed her basic. He just activated her Siri program. Hey Siri, what's the weather?
Yeah.
So it's like, and uh, I did think it was pretty cool how that even the technicians were like he modded her, and it was like, I don't know, this movie was crazy.
But I thought it was pretty cool though that not really cool, but I wonder even from the get-go if him renting this companion was all part of this plan. Because the plan is they go to this rich guy's house to vacation at for a weekend, but they plot to kill him, steal his all his money, which is like, what do they say, $30 million?
12 million.
12 million. And they pretty much use Iris as the killer, and they're just trying to frame her so they can just take the money and dip.
See, the way I kind of understood it was that Iris and him were a thing before this plan even became a thing. This is just me putting my own pieces together, but I feel that he got the Iris because he was truly lonely and wanted a companion. It wasn't until later on when he found out from Kat that the person she was seeing as wealthy, and he had, and then that's when they concocted the plan to use her.
I wonder though why, if he really did want her for that though, why would they not try to use the guy doll, which his name was Patrick.
Yeah, because remember whenever they're going over the plan and everything again, when you're finding out when they're doing the exposition dump, whenever Kat and Josh come clean to their friend that yeah, we used her, we reprogrammed her, and this and that, and they were just using Eli and Patrick because they weren't even a part of the plan until Iris went nuts, and so they had to bring him into the plan. Their whole motivation was just greed, because it wasn't until after things fell apart that they had to bring someone else in, and then that's when they started discussing money. And Eli's like, we get 4 cuts, and he's like, oh no, we get 3 cuts.
No.
So yeah, that's why I think it was all greed. That's why they didn't use Patrick, because that would have been another share they had to split, and so yeah.
Man, I didn't think this movie was going to be as bloody as it was, or as gory, but it kind of starts off right off the bat when she stabs Surrogus, right? Is that how you pronounce his name? Sergei. And see, even then, when she killed him, you still don't know the whole plot of the movie or plot of what they're doing. So you're like, oh man, he was trying to rape her, so she defended herself and she killed him.
And I thought it was a very good look when she comes back in, because you're just left like, because they don't show you immediately what happens. They just sit there and show him kind of coming on to her, and they're just kind of like, it cuts away to her in the house, Josh and all them back in the house, and she comes in the house, and her entire face, her hair, the top of her shirt is all covered in blood, and you don't find out what happens until she tells Josh what happens. And then when they cut back to what happens, you see the knife go on Homeboy's neck, and she pulls it out, and it just starts spewing out of him like a fountain. So there's a lot of blood in this. So, and I thought I was sitting there watching it like, oh, just to be that actress having to wear that gooey shit all day long for, no telling how long it took to film those scenes, because she's in the bloody clothes for most of the movie. And I'm just like, oh man, because it's like in her hair.
Yeah, and the moment Jack Quaid starts getting the moment he starts getting irky, which I think watching it the second time, he's irky literally from the drive all the way to the end of the movie. But the first time you're like, oh, I can see where he's probably going to be, the one who needs the help. But after watching it the first time and seeing what happens, to me, just the tone in his voice, not unless that's just him, he's that way throughout the whole movie.
Uh, he's a very controlling person, very much my way or the highway. But he's also kind of like he's he's lonely to the point of that. He puts his time and investment in all these women, and so that's why I think he's with this Iris doll now, is because he'd never had control over anything in his life. So now he has this doll that he has control of. So it gives him this sense of grandeur that he normally wouldn't have, I think.
Did you see how they were all the products in this movie were like Android products?
I did not.
Yeah, so I guess since you couldn't really tell who was the good guy and who was the bad guy, I read a thing that Apple has a contract to where if anything in their movie, if anything of their products get used into the movie, a bad guy or a villain cannot use the product. And I'm like, this would have made so much more sense, or not sense, but this would have been cool if they had like Apple products. So I started like doing some digging, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's true because there's not really a true good guy in this movie, maybe. But yeah, the phone he was using was like an Android. The watches were all Android type watches. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, I guess. I just wanted
Well,
to.
it
I
kind of
wanted.
does make sense though too, because what do we call what's another word for robots? Androids.
Yeah,
So that's pretty cool.
but uh, I think the moment she kills Sergey and she is just labeled, you know, not really the bad person, but they're kind of just being mean. I feel bad for her throughout the whole movie. What about you?
Oh, definitely that because that's one of the things, like I said earlier. It's how usually when we get a movie about AI is the bad guy. In this one, we're like really feel bad for both synthetic beings, because we even start to feel bad for Patrick.
Yeah,
By the end, at least that's what I feel that you're supposed to. But no doubt, we're supposed to really, really feel bad for Iris, and even the even the technician at the end of the movie, whenever they pick up Iris after everything's said and done, and they sit there and homeboy's like, oh no, dude monitor, and then they were talking to the band. He's like, I don't get why people buy these things and use it for target practice or chain them up in their basement and torture them. And that right there was like, okay, so they're just not used for sex. Because I sat there and thought about that just this guy uses it for sex and a companion, but what do other people use their companions for?
yeah. That is strange, but this is a breath. I've been saying it the last few times, but this is like a breath of fresh air when it comes to AI horror movies, because you can, whether it be Megan. I don't know if you've seen Megan, or 2.0 is getting ready to come out, but they're so twisted on some of the horror AI that I just think it's overdone. Even maybe going all the way back to, can you even call some of the Chucky movies AI horror?
No, that's more of a well, the new one could be AI, because things were changed in the programming, but Chucky was just there was voodoo using that stuff.
Voodoo. I can't believe that ever made money. But yeah, like this is just like different, and
And it's
you know,
not. It's a lot of it's set in the daytime too,
yeah, that is something good. That's like they're not afraid to like go out of the box.
because that's one thing I noticed. It didn't start getting dark because it basically takes place over a 24-hour period.
And the first nighttime scene, there's no horror elements at all because they're just getting drunk and dancing.
There's no jump
So
scares in the movie. There's nothing like that at all. It's a
no,
weird. It does have it is a horror movie in a weird way, but there's no it doesn't follow the basic horror rules.
yeah, and it's just like it's just nice to see something different, to watch something different, and for it to be pretty good. At first, when I had heard rumblings about Companion, then when you watched it and you said it was really good, I'm like, man, because usually, little story about yourself, you really don't rave a lot about newer movies,
No.
and especially if you go in blind. So you really raved about this one. I was like, man, it might be definitely worth catching on.
Well, I
So
told you whenever I first seen it, I was like, dude, I think it might be one of the better new releases of the year so far. It could be one of the best movies of the year so far.
yeah, and so far for me, it has been. I think this is one of my highest rated 2025 movies besides Mickey 17 and Novocaine. So
Because see, most of the movies that newer movies that I've seen for the year, I had problems with certain areas. Like Novocaine, I liked it, but I had a problem with the ending. You know, Mickey 17, I liked it, but I had a problem with the subplot in it. There's just some of the other movies that are Captain America was just kind of slow in places, not enough action. But this movie I had no problem with it. Like the cork. I don't know if the motorized cork.
oh
That thing
yeah,
was that you don't realize that prop was set up very early in the movie,
yep,
twice,
yep,
and then it was finally used at the end to take Homeboy out, which I thought was just brutal. I
yeah.
was like, okay,
So see, there's not that many horror element scenes to this movie, but when there are, they're kind of like in shock. Like the stab to the neck, when that happens, you're kind of like, oh wow. And then um when homeboy, what's his name?
Eli.
When Eli gets shot, you're kind of like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. When the officer gets punched in the face to where he's just completely done for, you're like, that was a little over the top, but that's an AI fist. I can believe that. Oh, technical difficulties. Some of the other scenes that are kind of just like over the top and maybe brutal are the, like Jay said, the scene with the cork just straight into the head, and you're like, really? Did that really happen? Um, but yeah, Companion was definitely a breath of fresh air. I would highly recommend you guys going and checking it out. Again, you can rent it on Apple TV, Google Play, Fandango, YouTube. So, but yeah, so the kill scenes in this movie, they stand out. There's not a lot of them, but they're not like stupid gory either. You know what I mean?
Oh no. Well, the one thing that makes this film to me very gory is that once she kills Sergey, for at least what the next 30 minutes of the movie, she's wearing the clothes that she killed Sergey in, and they're covered with blood. Her face is covered in blood. Her hair is covered in blood. So there's like a bloody element through through most of the movie, and then it's not some of the deaths seem brutal, but they're not. With Kat's death, when Patrick just stabs her that one time in the back, I interpret it as like he's a robot. He knows where all her vital organs are. He didn't need to like go crazy on her and just stab her multiple times. He just stabbed her once and killed her, and she just walks over and dies. So it was a very bloody movie, but not. I don't know. It's just it was a very good movie though.
But like we were kind of talking about, the bloody scenes and the kill scenes aren't just thrown in there to for smiles and giggles. It's thrown in there for certain subplots of the movie. Just like when Kat died, you're like, whoa, I was not expecting her to get hurt. I was not expecting her to die.
Oh,
I thought she was going to be one of the ones that kind of maybe talk some sense into Josh or eventually be on Iris's side.
but you could sit there and see why she never switched teams because she was all in it for herself.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's the weirdest thing about this movie is that the most human person in the movie is a robot,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest everybody else is more like animals. They all
Yeah.
basically revert back to their animalistic instincts. You know, Josh goes from this. You can kind of see this lonely, just kind of shy guy, but then whenever shit doesn't go his way, you know, he just collapses and just loses his mind. Because
I
by the
think
end of the movie, he loses his shit by the end of the movie.
I think he was selfish and greedy from the start, though. Like, from that's the whole reason of purchasing one of these companions. I think if you have the money, and you purchase one of these things, that shows to me that he's already getting lazy in his human life because, hey, why not go out and work for it? I can just buy it if I wanted to or rent it.
Like,
I don't.
agreed.
Yeah.
It kind of comes across as a guy that kind of just gave up on human contact.
There you go. Exactly. That's a
But I
perfect
can
way to put
honestly
it.
see the other side. I can also see the other side of it though too. You're just giving up on humans in general because sometimes I feel that way where I'm just like I don't care about humans at all because most of them are idiots. And if you could have an AI companion like that, I think most of us probably choose that in some in some way. We probably all would because it's a lot easier whenever you can sit there and just look at your girlfriend and be like go to sleep, but she just shuts off. There's no argument, there's no nothing. It's because we've got to that point now with men and women and dating in the 2025 era. It just is too difficult, man. There's too much shit that to navigate now with on both sides. Men nowadays don't want kids. Women don't want kids. Women want this in a man. Men want this in a woman, and no sides lining up. So we're just at that point. We're like, screw it. I'll just have sex and be with a robot. It's just easier. So I think we're going to have this future because weren't they already talking about making sex bots already?
I'm not
Not too
sure.
long ago. I could have swore I read. I know they have what they call the real doll, where it's basically a latex doll that weighs about like 60 pounds or so, and it's basically a full size person, but it just stays there. And you can have sex with it. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. They just now started getting the technology with those dolls where they have like phrases that get set there instead of you like, "Oh baby, I love you," stupid shit like that. But they combine those real dolls with Elon Musk's robots that he's wanting to design, and we got our companions.
We need him to. We need him
I
to.
think we're
Yeah, we need him to like do the dishes and cook dinner and stuff like that.
hey, I see, and if you bought a companion, you wouldn't have any bullshit out of them, any grief. They'd be like, okay. And then after they're done, you just turn them off and they go to sleep, and then you have the rest of the night to yourself quietly. And I think men and women, I think men and women would value that, you know.
So going towards the ending, and the only still picture shot I saw of this movie in the trailer before I just turned it off was the scene where she's holding her arm over the candle and it's on fire. So the scene where he finally catches up with her and he's like, before he calls the company to come and get her and blame everything on her, that scene where he tortures her is like insane.
Mm-hmm. And very much so agree. But what the cool thing about that scene is that you don't know the way that Iris is playing the scene. Sophie, she's got tears coming down her eyes. She's shaking. She's looks facially invisible pain. But since she's set there by these parameters and guidelines, she's got to stay there. There's nothing she can do. That's the robot in her that she has to obey. But
Yep.
then there's something. It almost I'm not saying it's coming across as consciousness, but it almost comes across that by the end of the movie, Iris has her own mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an AI awakening, the programming, or what, but it does feel like Iris becomes a different person by the end.
Well, because she also changed it to where his voice motion can't tell her to stop or turn off, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She basically, because after she figures that out, that's one of the first things she does is turn off the voice activation shut off.
Yep.
But then once he resets her, but it seems like once he resets her and everything and brings her intelligence down to nothing, she's still there as that Iris that he's had to deal with most of the movie. It's
Yeah.
not the mentally inept, but
The one that got away, she is Iris.
I did like the ending, one of the very ending when she stole all the money, kills everybody, and just drives away into the sunset. But as she's driving away into the sunset, she sees in a car next to her another Iris, and she just waves at it with her robot hand and freaks out the other Iris. So it's like, oh, so they're everywhere. Okay, because the guy that they're driving next to looks pretty wealthy, and he's got an Iris.
You think she was a real person though?
No.
No. Yeah, it was pretty
This
cool
is just
that
another guy with another Iris doll.
the old Terminator hand popped up.
Yeah, and I do like that they did that with practical effects. Because when you said that this movie was made for $10 million, it's like there's no way this movie was made for $10 million. This movie has it looks very good for a $10 million movie.
Yeah, $10 million, man. Got it shipped, packed, and done out the door. I think hopefully this movie hits a streaming service too, because I think this is going to be one of those movies where a lot of people missed it in theaters, and a lot of people obviously are going to miss the physical release. But I think once this hits Netflix or Hulu, who put it out? Was this a 20th Century Fox?
New Line.
New Line? So I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe Max. Um, Hopefully this kind of gets some trending going on once it hits a streaming service, because man, I think it's definitely worth a conversation, definitely worth an episode, and it's going to be interesting to see how far this movie goes to being one of the top movies of 2025.
Jack Quaid, though, can we sit there and talk about at least Jack Quaid? 2 movies so far in 2025. This and Novocaine already.
Yeah.
Homeboys is hitting on all cylinders. And then you got Sophie Thatcher in this, and she was in Heretic just early last year. And so she's got 2 big movies within the past 6 months as well.
Yeah. We can sit and talk about Jack Quaid for a minute, because a lot of people know him from The Boys. But like you said, he hit Novocaine this year, Companion. He was in Scream.
He is a ghost face.
Yep, he is a ghost face. He's done a lot of voice acting. He was in Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1 and 2. He was in Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse. He's in his real. He was in a small part in Rampage, Plus One, Logan Lucky. So he's been going at it for a minute. But man, I think his big break was The Boys, and I think finally seeing him in Scream was fun too. So Jack Quaid is off to a fantastic start, and I can't wait to see where he goes from here.
Oh yeah, you could tell you could tell numerous times in this movie that his dad's facial features kind of popped up. Every now and then I'm like, oh cool, yep, that's his dad's look.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna maybe surpass some of the stuff his dad might have done.
Oh,
So
yeah. His dad had a pretty decent 80s and 90s, but I think with just as of right now, I think some of the movies that Jack Quaid's already been in, are not bigger, but he's already making a bigger impact than his dad did.
But if you look at some of the stuff Jack Quaid is doing too, he's also stepping outside the box and taking a chance on some scripts and some stories that are kind of fresh and new, but he's turning him in and making him his own performance.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know if he's got anything else to do out this year, but man, those 2 movies so far are a pretty good way to
I think he's got a new season of The Boys.
He does. He also has something. He's got a comedy, it looks like, called no, it's a crime thriller called Neighborhood Watch. Looks like that'll be out later this year. It's also starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
So he'll have 3 movies in 2025.
Yeah, 3 movies in 2025. Head of State. I don't know what that is, but it's also in post production. That's got Idris
Elba.
Idris Elba's in it. John Cena's in it. And then this looks like a comedy, but this is only in development, and it's called Tuesdays with Satan. So he's on the rise, man. Let's keep an eye out for Jack Quaid, because I think he's
What about Sophie Thatcher? What have we got her coming up in?
Sophie Thatcher.
Because she like I said, she very much carries this movie on her shoulder, at least a sympathetic level.
So yeah, it looks like she's also in Maxine. She's the FX artist in Maxine. She's in Tomorrow Man. The Boogeyman, the new one that came out a few years ago. But some of the stuff that she's got coming up. It doesn't say. It doesn't say that she's got anything coming up.
Well, I hope she does.
Just previous, if you want to see her in all her glory, she is in Yellow Jackets, which is a Paramount Plus show. She's all over that in all 3 seasons, or 4 seasons, I'm sorry. And then like Jay said, she's in Heretic, Companion, Maxine, The Boogeyman, a movie called Blink. She's in she's in the Exorcist TV show from 2016.
So she's
So
actually been in a lot of stuff.
yeah,
Not a lot of stuff that I've seen, but a lot of stuff.
but yeah, it doesn't say that there's anything coming up, so I'm sure she will be though. But yeah, man.
There's a lot of facial acting in this movie.
You said there's a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of facial acting.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Um, I thought the ending that was cool. The corkscrew, her taking the money and jetting, going away. But if you had an overall favorite scene, what would you pick?
Um, I don't know if I'd sit there and say I have a completely favorite scene, but there are a couple times in the movie that are, just like, okay, hell yeah. I like the reveal that she was a robot. I guess you'd probably say that's probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie whenever everything, because it happens about, 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Whenever she comes back in covered in blood and he just looks at her and is like, Iris, go to sleep. And her eyes turn white. You're like, oh, she's a robot. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that scene a lot because that's when the entire movie shifts, and that's when everything starts to kind of like come out on what the everything is, and I enjoyed that scene a lot.
If I had to pick something, it would probably be some of the kills. Cat to Death was kind of an oh wow, that just happened. The scene where she flips her language and starts talking to the cop in Dutch or German, that was pretty.
But everything was the truth because she couldn't lie.
Yeah, yeah. So that was cool because the officer's death was just insane to me. I was like, whoa. Um, and then everything leading up to the final ending where when Josh and her are sitting at the opposite tables, the candle scene is kind of crazy. And I'll agree with you. The telling of her being an AI was like kind of okay. This is interesting now.
Mm-hmm.
So
this honestly did feel like it could be an episode of Black Mirror, though.
yeah, I could see that. Star rating 1 out of 5. 1 being completely shit and terrible. 5 being a 5-star frog splash. What would your rating be of Companion?
Oh, I'm kind of battling it out in my head. I'd probably go about 4.5 on this one, just because, like I said, there was nothing in this movie where I sit there and had to like pick apart. Everything just made sense. I was able to fill in the gaps with the information given. There wasn't no just absurd jumps in logic throughout the movie. You know what I mean? Everything just followed a clear path. Everything made sense. Yeah, it was just a real good movie overall. Very well done.
Yeah. If I had to pick, honestly, I gave it a 4 as soon as I got done seeing the movie. But if I had to pick, man, I think I'm gonna give this movie a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, it really surprised me the second time around. I enjoy movies, and my rating is always based on rewatchability. And this is one of those movies that the second time I watched it, I had fun with it even more. I noticed things faster, and it was just an overall enjoyable experience. I wasn't sitting there looking at my watch. I wasn't sitting there just looking at my phone, waiting for this thing to finish. I was just enjoying, the short hour and a half that I had with it. So, Companion is good for me. I'm going to give it 5. It's my first 5-star movie of 2025. So, highly recommend Companion. Performances were good. The cinematography was excellent. I enjoyed the score, and the story was fresh and different, man. So,
Everything about
Companion,
this movie was good.
yeah. So Companion, I'm switching it up, man, and it's getting a 5.
So 4.5 and a 5 on ratings. I know our talks a little scattered, but we definitely want you to find this movie on your own as well. If you haven't seen it and you just listen to us and listen to the podcast are not here, please go watch it. If you have seen it already, just let us know what you thought of it, because we absolutely loved it.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Can't wait. And I think this is also one of those movies where it was such a perfect ending. You don't need to build up about a sequel. You don't need to worry about anything like that. This is just a good one-off, if you ask me.
Oh yeah.
So, like Jay said, let us know what you think. Star rating for Companion, 4.5, man. Pretty good. Pretty good conversation, if you ask me. April is already 2 episodes in. We're 3 episodes left of the month. Next week, our reconnaissance continues with A Time to Kill. Sandra Bullock, Samuel Jackson, Matthew McConaughey. Cannot, and I can't stress this enough, I cannot wait for this rewatch. This is a movie that kind of traumatized me when I first watched it way back when I was like 10 years old. There's no way a 10-year-old should be watching this, but it stuck with me, and it has slowly turned into one of my top Matthew McConaughey movies. So, and believe it or not, this was his first big major role in a movie. So find it. I believe you can rent it for $3.99. Vudu, Amazon Prime it up. A Time to Kill, based off of the novel. Check it out. That's what we're discussing next week. In 2 weeks, the importance of physical media. We're finally dedicating an entire episode of just a conversation about physical media. Where is it in your life? Is it existence? Is it extinct? Where is physical media in your life? And do you need it or do you want it? And then we're going to finish out the month with Sinners, which is already getting some negative reviews, negative comments. So we'll see. We'll check it out. Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan star in Sinners.
I heard it was an Avenger level movie.
Really?
Yes. I don't know what that means. But
I think they're talking Avengers from 1997 with Uma Thurman.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm just messing with you. I heard the opposite. I heard it was complete trash. So we'll check it out. Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld. Sinners is going to end the month of April. But until then, man, do you have anything else you want to add to Companion before we get out of here?
Just watch it and enjoy it.
Watch it and enjoy it.
Or hey, whatever the hell you want. It's a movie you're subjected to. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Just at least go check it out and let us know what you thought of it. Send us some comments. We love to hear back from you guys. And it's always a pleasure talking movies with everybody. Jay, this was a fun episode, man. I can't wait to get in the dog seat next week with A Time to Kill as we continue. You dubbed it the reconnaissance. So until next week, guys, have a great week, and we'll see everybody next week on another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.